Good afternoon and welcome to the JOY Show. I'm Barbara Schreiner-Trudell, your host, and my guest today, Jackie, was with us last week and is back again today so we can go a little deeper into the topic of HIV and the changing landscape that's going on in the world today. So let us begin with our land acknowledgement. We are honored to work, live, and play within the city of Toronto on the historical and traditional territory of many Indigenous nations, including the Anishinaabe, the Wendat peoples, and more recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit and Haudenosaunee nations. And we acknowledge the diverse First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island. By making this acknowledgement, we strive to be allies and take an active part in reconciliation by honoring the land, the history, and the unique Indigenous heritage of our First People. This fosters our commitment to the recommendations set forth by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We recognize our oneness, we realize our history, and we choose to create a new reality. We are one. Miigwech. Well, my guest today, Jackie, is from Uganda. And over a decade, she has worked with women, girls, and youth and different groups of people, including those living with HIV. So she has a very strong understanding of this disease and how it affects, especially when it comes to stigma and the way people who are living with HIV get treated by others. She's had many challenging experiences throughout her life, and it's made her very strong. And as a social activist, wow, my tongue doesn't want to work today. She is a very, very busy woman. So welcome, Jackie. So glad you could join us again today and to take this topic a little bit further, because we were just touching the edge of this conversation with HIV. And I think it's something that we need more information about for sure. So we had talked last week a little bit about the stigma that people living with HIV have to deal with. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be back today, and I'm happy that some people might be out there listening to me and listening to us. And about stigma, there is a lot of stigma that is happening around HIV worldwide. And we have tried to do our best to reduce the stigma, especially in developing countries, specifically in Uganda, where I come from. We have tried to do a lot of work about stigma by advocating for friendly services which fight against stigma. Some of them are youth-friendly services, and we have had peer support groups. We have had mental health support groups. We have had so many different activities that try and fight against stigma. But still, much of the stigma that is in the public is because of lack of knowledge, lack of information about HIV. Some people still think when you touch on something, you can easily get infected. So that some people, not all of them, but a fraction of people still think the same, including doctors. Some doctors even don't know that when you have like a sexual relationship with a negative person, you cannot transmit HIV, especially when you have gone to the level where you are undetectable. So some of the doctors, I already have an experience, a personal experience, where I was admired by one of the doctors, but later when we decided to make the relationship to another level, the guy put on 2 gloves and put on 2 condoms. And I was wondering what he was going to do. So I told him, you know what, let's just stop there. There's nothing
Right.
that we can do. If you don't have the information that once you put on 2 condoms, one is going to pull the other, and you will end up they will end up getting off, and you will end up getting infected. He didn't have that kind of information, and that is a doctor. So if a doctor himself doesn't have information, what do you expect of the people outside? Uh,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a big one, is to create a level of understanding so people know how it is transmitted, but also that when people, like you just said, um, if it's not showing up for them, if they're taking their medication and stuff and it's not showing up, they also cannot transmit it.
yeah. So a lot of information is missing in public. It is us, the activists, who have it, the medical personnel or service providers who have it,
Mhm.
the researchers are the ones who have it, but the public in general doesn't have that information. And
I
even when you talk about it, they're like you're trying to give yourself out, not using any kind of backup. But of course, the backup, we have it, but you can't explain the whole backup to people unless it is already publicized. That's when someone would be like, yes, I've ever heard of that. Maybe you can explain more. There you have where to start from. But in most cases, when you don't have anywhere to start from, you tell someone U equals U is means untransmittable, undetectable equals untransmittable. They don't understand what you mean. So I would think that if we could publicize this kind of information and the whole public is aware through different medias, let's say social medias, radio talk shows, TV talk shows, newspapers, the way we used to do it at the beginning when HIV had just come. We
Yeah.
would do outreaches, we do community sensitization programs, and all of those helped all of us to learn about HIV, how we can prevent it, how we can protect it, ourselves,
Yeah.
and all those stuff.
We had there was a group doing a thing called Black Praise, and we had them attend our church service to they did a survey and they asked people like what their level of understanding of HIV was, and then gave information and then did the survey again later. So we were able to raise the level of understanding by doing these surveys and giving them some information. So that was a really helpful campaign
Yeah.
that was done in one of the churches that I was a part of. So I think more of that is probably needed, I guess, eh?
Yeah, so if that is done worldwide, not to a particular group, but worldwide, it would be more helpful than when it is done to only particular groups. Because we normally do, like, if you talk about such to a meeting of only 30 people or 50 people, the 50 people might not have the audience where they can, or the platform where they can go and share that kind of information on
Mhm.
a bigger audience.
Yeah.
So when it is put like on TV or on radios, you know that there are so many worldwide people who are going to hear about it and learn about it and ask questions, especially when you give links or on how to get answers. Let's say if you give a phone number or an email or a comment section, then they can be able to get feedback.
Right.
Yeah,
And
but
it's pretty I mean, I know a lot of people who've been living with HIV for like 30 plus years. So the whole illness is very different today than it was when it
yeah.
first hit.
Mhm.
Um, so how many people worldwide do you think are actually living with HIV? Do you have
I
a
no, I may not have the exact statistics, but there it is. Okay, I will speak from the Ugandan statistics that I know,
Yeah.
it is around 1.5 who are living with HIV. But unfortunately, some of them are actually not on treatment. And
Oh,
that is what is causing more infections. And yet the ministry says everybody who tests positive must be put on treatment. But sometimes the number of people that are on treatment, the treatment itself is very costly. So
right.
to put all people on treatment sometimes is hard. Only that these days now they have tried to make sure that at least everybody is on, but many people have stayed on Septrin alone for a very long time before they have been initiated uh, on ARVs.
Okay. So if medication is prohibitively expensive,
Mm.
how do people manage that? Because they're sick, they're not going to be working, at least, when they're first maybe diagnosed, they could be quite sick. So what do we do
Yeah,
about
much
medication?
of much much of their medication is being taken care of by Global Fund, by
Okay.
the international community. So especially to us from the developing countries, it is normally given for free. We don't buy it because we actually get the cheapest type of medication.
Right.
But still, some people don't access that medication.
Okay.
So
So
at the moment, it is approximately 38.4 million people across the world who are living with HIV. So we are a big number. And we still need to protect ourselves from
yeah,
HIV,
for
those who
sure.
have not yet got it, because living with HIV is not easy. Yeah,
Well,
some people have
exactly.
been saying that HIV has become like fever. Actually, that's what most young people in Uganda thought or are saying, that HIV is no longer a big deal. It is like fever. Everybody lives with it normally. Yes, that is the truth, but you don't know the other side of life if you're not yet there.
Well, that's the thing, because now you're dealing not only with the illness, the medication that's required to keep it at bay, which is
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And then on top of that, we've got stigma where, people are treated differently because of it.
Yes.
I remember a member of my congregation who cut his hand and was like, "Don't come near me." I'm like, "Sorry, I'm coming near you. We're going to bandage that up and we're going to look after you." And he was really worried that somehow I would contract the virus. And I said, "You know what? I'm not concerned about it. I don't have any cuts on my hands, and I'm going to look after you. I'm fine." I think sometimes the level of fear that
Yeah.
we have actually causes us more problems in the long run, because we are behaving in a way that is um, quite nasty to people who actually need our support sometimes.
And yeah, but what is funny is that much of the fear that we have is a result of lack of information.
Exactly. Unfounded.
Because, yeah, when you have enough information with proof, like it was proved by World Health Organization and other organizations that deal with that, once you have that proof that you can no longer infect another person when you are undetectable, then it means the fear will be reduced. Because if you know no one can infect you when they are positive but undetectable, then why would you fear? Because there is that evidence that you cannot be infected. So,
Well, yeah.
yeah, that's why much of the fear that we have is because we don't have the exact information, and the information that is there is not reaching the public so that they can understand it.
Do you think that's I mean, for sure that's the big part of the problem. But do you think that's almost intentional? Like, I sometimes wonder why some things make the news and other things don't.
What is intentional? Lack of information.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about all of the, like, let's take a look at all of the publicity that has gone out for COVID on the airwaves, right? It's a 24/7 conversation,
Mm.
and HIV is still expanding. So why is it that it's not getting any attention? Like, why isn't you equals you out there? Like, why isn't the news talking about that?
That is also what beats my mind. Why U equals U information is not going up out there, so that people can get more information about it. Because if it is publicized, then that means everybody will be happy to even accept the people who are living with HIV, and that will reduce the stigma. Because even right now, as we speak, people are no longer having that big fear about HIV, but the one which they have is something that is slightly hidden. I can say it is hidden because I can be with you, you pretend that you're fine with me, but once I leave, you begin talking about me. You see that one, she's going to die. That's what happens in Uganda. That's what was happening to us.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to talk about relationships, especially among young people who are growing with HIV. It is a very big challenge for young people to be in relationships and have a family, have children, and all that, because they believe that once you're positive, you're not even supposed to give back, because they think you're going to infect the child, you're going to infect the other partner, and you're going to infect. Everything is about infection, and it's all because they don't have that information. Many of the people don't have that information. Even when you're in a relationship, in most cases, you don't know where your love will take you. You may find that your heart has gone to someone who is negative, and that is the only person you love, and the person is also in love with you. But the moment they discover that they were in love with you before they knew your status, but the moment they discover that you're positive, even if you cannot infect the person, they run away. And that is one of the biggest challenges that young people are facing. And in most cases, they have been led to making wrong decisions. And some of them have decided never to disclose again to anyone. And most of them are now opting to only getting children. Target someone, get pregnant. Once you're pregnant, you run away with the pregnancy, so that you will never disclose to the father of the child. So the father of the child will not know why you ran away, but you will create and you will make a small issue, make it look big, and he will think that's what has made you run away. But for you, you
Wow.
know the reason why you're running away is because you don't want him to find out that you're positive, and it becomes a big deal.
So I think then that, the biggest thing that needs to happen right now is education. There has to be education done so that people come to understand, I'm not going to get it because I sat down on a toilet seat. I'm not going to get it because I shook hands with somebody or sat beside them at church, or walked past them in the supermarket. Um, and I'm not going to get it if my partner is undetectable. If
Yeah.
they're undetectable, they also are untransmittable. So that is such big information, because that makes all the difference in the world. Because most people, when they fall in love, of course, they want to have sexual relations as well, which makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. It's fun,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting, it's it's a good thing, right? So, but of course, HIV is putting a bit of a lid on that in some cases, because people don't understand how they can
Yeah, I
get
got
away
surprised.
from
I
it.
got surprised when I reached here and I was told some cases where some two people, the two people I had them from out, then the third person, I did an intake to that person for some, but I discovered that there is too much stigma here in Canada where even people chase people living with HIV out of their houses because they have discovered they are living with HIV.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they think that living in your house because I'm HIV positive. I don't know why you would really think that probably I would infect you with HIV. How would I infect you with HIV by living in your house? Will I put?
Yeah.
Am I that dangerous that you think I will put the blood in your food? And will I even have that access? And who will even think of that?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is the level of misunderstanding. So in order to educate people, there has to be a lot more work done in the area. Now, I know that you're assisting at PWA at the moment, and PWA is supporting you in some ways as well as you enter our country as a new resident here. What are some of the things that PWA does that supports people living with HIV?
They're actually doing a lot of work. They give financial support to some of our workers, I mean, some of the community members.
Mhm.
They give them food. Those who cannot afford food, we have a food bank here. So when you don't have enough food, you can come around when you're a community member, but you must have an intake with us so that you become our member.
Right.
Then, yeah, because we don't support those who are not community members. So you must have an intake first, then you can have all the services that we have. Then we also
People
have,
people could donate to Toronto PWA as well if they wanted
yes,
to make a
yeah,
donation. There's the website there. People can donate so that, we can buy food for the food bank or
mhm.
provide whatever's needed. Yeah.
Yeah, we also have a boutique where we give food, we give clothes to people, especially the newcomers who come when they don't have enough clothes. Yeah, or like winter clothes. We also have them. We have some people who donate for us the clothes. Then we also have acupuncture. We have massage. We have salon. There are different programs that we have here, and they really support our people because most of them, I have seen them come when they are devastated. We also support those who need like immigration support. We connect them to immigration people who can help them. Then we also connect those, especially newcomers who come when they don't know where to go, what to do, to
Yeah.
medical doctors. If their medications are done, we also support them to get connected to medical doctors and get their medications renewed. Yeah, we do a lot of work
It's a
to
lot.
make sure that our people get all that they want. We connect people to ODSP,
Mhm.
and most of the services that any person would want, we really support them to get it. But you must be a member first.
And is it difficult to become a member, or is it just the process of the intake and
It is only the process of the intake. You just get to put you in our computer so that we follow up. We know today you've taken this, tomorrow you have access to this, the other day you have got this. All we do is support, support, support.
oh,
They don't pay for anything. Everything is free.
it's a great organization, that's for sure, and the work that's being done is so valuable.
Yeah,
Uh,
we We also connect people to housing, but we refer them to Five House. So most of them who don't know where to go, we direct them where to go.
That's a beautiful thing. Wow. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Well, we're going to take a quick little commercial break here. So please, everybody, don't go away. There's more information to come. You're watching The Joy Show, and I'm Barbara, and my guest Jackie is a woman in the know. So we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
All righty, we're back. And today we're talking about HIV and, the changing landscape. Things are different than they were in the 80s and 90s when people were dying constantly and continuously. Now, living with HIV is definitely something that can be done. The medications have changed the game. And also, if you are if the disease is undetectable within you, you cannot transmit it. It is untransmittable. So that, I think, is the most important piece of information that young people could hear today. Well, anybody could hear today for that matter, is that, it no longer has to be feared in the way that it was initially. Righto, my dear?
Yes, of course. We no longer need to fear HIV because so many things have been done. Like, for example, I tested in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
I was young.
You still
And
are.
I started treatment in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost died in 2004.
Okay.
I weighed about only 30 something kilograms.
Wow.
Ah,
Wow.
an adult like me, I weighed about 36 kilograms by then.
Wow, that's really
So
small.
if it wasn't for the medication, I
You
would
wouldn't
be
be here.
history.
Yeah. A friend
So
of
we
mine.
really we
Yeah.
really thank the researchers, the funders, the activists,
Yeah.
the whole world who have everybody that has put a word, a hand, a noise, or everything to make sure that we are where we are.
I think part of the challenges that have gone on too is the stigma within religious communities who've decided that, well, if you have HIV, it's because you're a homosexual. That's That's how you get it. Or you're a drug abuser. And I think that is something that, that whole thing needs to be pushed aside, because that's not the truth.
That's not the truth. Actually, that is another another thing where religious leaders normally preach what they want people to hear, and they also preach what benefits themselves, but they don't preach what is the reality of life. Yeah, because for us people who are not religious leaders, we believe what religious leaders tell us, because we believe they know the Bible very well, they have connection to God directly, and so on. And especially especially those who are not educated well, they believe everything 100%. So if a religious leader is not well equipped with the right information, they are most likely going to mislead the world. They are misleading all the congregations that they are leading.
Well, even the judgment.
Sorry?
Even the judgment that some churches have on the LGBTQ two-spirited plus community, it's like that, to me, in and of itself is a bit of a problem also. I think religion, for me anyway, I believe that the church or the spiritual organization should be a safe and sacred place for everyone who walks through the door. And when you have religious leaders who are judgmental about certain things or perpetuating stereotypes, I think that's a problem.
Yeah, since they have big congregations, they're like teachers,
They are.
But these are teachers of adults who already make decisions for themselves.
Yeah.
So I would think that if religious leaders were targeted so that they're equipped with the right information, which can be disseminated, it would reach more people than when we sit in our offices, call for meetings of 30 people, call for meetings of 50 people. Religious leaders receive different types of people every day or every week, and they need to be well equipped with the right information, because that's whatever a person gets from a religious leader. In most cases, they take it as wholesome truth. So if it is wrong information, they are going to take the wholesome truth, which is wrong, and they will act upon that.
Well, and because they do believe what the priest or the minister or the imam is saying, they believe what they're saying. And so when they talk about, things being bad or wrong or whatever, the minute they do that, the congregation then buys into it. And I think the other thing that is a challenge is, I know a lot of people who are coming from the Caribbean and stuff, they've been raised with religion. And now all of a sudden they're shunned by the very thing that should be supporting and sustaining them during this difficult time of their lives. All of a sudden they're not welcome. And I think one of the things I loved about Black Praise is it was done in the church. So the minister had to give a talk about HIV. And we did surveys and education and stuff over about 6 or 8 months, I think, is the whole process took. But I really like that because it was in the church and we were making things so that, they were getting proper information rather than the misinformation that may have been disseminated before.
Yeah, so one other thing I wanted to talk about is aging with HIV.
Mm-hmm.
So most of like what you said at the beginning, that some people have lived 30, 40 years with HIV, but we don't know what is actually happening.
Yeah.
because living with HIV and on this kind of treatment for all those years, in most cases, leads to some health challenges, which we need to begin thinking about how to deal with them.
Right. What
Yeah,
type
like
of challenges does it create with long-term use of the medications?
most of them, okay, some of them have been cancers that have been a result of a lot of medication chemicals entering our bodies, but no intoxication.
Yeah.
So most people who are on this treatment, they don't know how to detoxify,
Right.
like how to remove the chemicals from their bodies. Like myself, I've never done that. Even when I'm talking about it, I've never done that. But all the chemicals remain in the body. So if you cannot remove them out, then it means at some point they're going to cause a problem, because not necessarily HIV alone, but all medication, all long-term medications, when you don't get that opportunity of detoxifying yourself, in most cases they turn into something else. And most of them have been cancerous. Others have had a lot of mental health due to HIV. I myself have been through it.
Yeah.
Others have got like skin problems. Like some bodies have become paralyzed because of the medication. When they check, when they make a follow-up, they find that it is the medication. Then they have to change the medication to make sure that the person stabilizes again. So I think we need to begin looking at that, so that we can reduce on the rate of deaths among the people who are dying as a result of long-term use of medication.
Yeah, that's something. Now, do you think that's something that scientists and pharmaceutical companies are considering right now, or is it more the naturopathic type community that is paying attention to what could be done to make a difference?
The fact that now there is an advocacy going on about HIV cure, and the fact that it is being some monies are being directed to HIV cure, I have a feeling that at one day we might be able to get that final treatment where everybody will be cured, and that is my only dream, because for myself, since 2004 on this kind of medication, I feel I'm extremely tired, but I have no option. I have to continue hanging on until the cure is found. But
Yeah.
sometimes you find you spend the whole week without taking the medication. Yet you know it's not that you've forgotten, but you know you're supposed to take it, but you're like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not alone. There are so many young people. I mean, there are so many people who have reached my stage,
Yeah.
who are like giving up. So when actually most of us are running for that injection that has come, which is for 2 months, because there is the medication that has come for 2 months. So instead of taking the tablets every day, you can take one injection for 2 months. In 2 months, you take one injection.
That would be better.
Yeah, so that's what we are opting for. But me, myself, I fear injections so much.
Oh, I'll tell you,
So I imagine every 2 months I have to get pierced. I'm like, oh God, let me hold on.
well, it's minor, turn your head away, let somebody else inject you and you'll be good. I have a skin condition that I do an injection every 4 weeks. I have to take 2 shots, and I do it for myself. I inject myself with it, but it's, yeah, it
So
hurts.
if you could get that kind of injection, let's say in 6 months you get only one, or in 1 year you get only one, it would be much more helpful as we look forward to the cure, to the complete cure. Yeah,
Well,
because
hopefully, yeah, a cure.
that was one of the advocacy that we did back in Uganda to ensure that at least we get some medication. I don't know whether it was an injection or tablet or whatever, but which would take like longer than daily tablets.
Yeah.
Because it is very challenging, especially when you have children who are born with HIV, to administer that medicine to a child who is not sick, especially those who have now reached an age where they are understanding why they are taking medication. It becomes hard. Some of them refuse. They are like, Mommy, I'm not sick. I cannot take this medicine.
That's a tough one. And I think that's something that people need to understand as well, is that a lot of people living with HIV actually were born with it.
Yes, lots of them were born with it. And when you hear judgments of when you hear such judgments where you're like in a relationship with someone and the person is like you're trying to kill them, it's like it's not about killing anyone, because no one was aware this was going to happen. So if it happened, why didn't I die? If I'm going to kill someone, why didn't I die at that stage? Or why did I grow up to this stage? 20, 30 years, and I'm born with it, and I'm alive, and you have reached a point where you admire me. It means I'm beautiful and I'm productive, and so I would think that kind of stigma that leads to more people getting into stigma and reserving or isolating from the society is causing more harm than good.
So what is the mental health impact on people living with HIV who are having to deal with the stigma that goes along with it? What is the result of that?
Actually, much of the mental health among the people who are living with HIV is caused by loneliness. Like sometimes you feel you're completely alone, because not to all, of course, you will be publicly accepted, but individually, at individual level, you feel you're alone. I don't know whether you get the difference. I can be publicly very happy everywhere you see me. I'm very happy. I'm very social. I'm doing Actually, that is one of the things that some of our members commit suicide, because they have different issues they are dealing with, which they cannot disclose to anyone else, even if they are social to everybody. And that leads us to mental health challenges.
And of course, with mental health issues, then suicide definitely becomes...
It almost becomes automatic, because I also tried it, but me, I wanted to use poison, but the type that was at home. When I held it and when I opened it like this, the smell that came out, I was like, to hell with this.
It smells so bad, I'm not going to drink it. Phew. We're glad you're alive and well, and we're glad you're here to share information. But suicide for sure would be one of the things, like when you've got this illness, this virus that you're going to have all your life. You can't get rid of it, at least not yet. It's got to be a heavy load to carry, because here, if you don't disclose, you can be arrested for that. Am I right? Is it illegal to not disclose?
Yeah, that is what I did when I arrived here. That's what I was told. And that is when I went to internet to check out what the law says about disclosure. I also found out it was the same, only that there is where they say that when you have a sexual person whom you've not disclosed to, then it becomes a crime. But I also saw where they are saying that if you're undetectable, then you may not be like a criminal. You may not be considered as a criminal.
Right.
Yeah, but when you go deeper, you see that they can use anything around HIV to make you a criminal.
Wow.
So that is one thing that is making some of us who have been public about ourselves we are thinking of withholding. We are thinking of withholding so that maybe we try to avoid the law, or we try to find a way of how we can be in the society and be like everybody else without necessarily anyone knowing about our status. Because
Yeah,
if it is going to victimize you, if it is going to victimize me, then why would I actually disclose about it?
exactly. Wow.
Yeah, but also there is a lot of funding has been diverted. Maybe one of the other reasons why we have lots of new infections is because most of the programs that were targeting prevention, HIV prevention, have been phased out because everybody assumes that everybody now knows about HIV. But even if we know about HIV, we don't know the details about it. Most of the people don't know the details about it, and that's why it is how it is what we were talking about before. Because a lot of funding has been diverted and we no longer have HIV specific funding. It is now diverted to sexual reproductive health, diverted to medication, diverted to so many other programs rather than HIV standalone fund. Yeah. That kind of, because before there was a lot of money that was coming to HIV, and that's why a lot of programs were targeting HIV information sharing, prevention, and it was also about support, how to support each other, and it helped a lot. But now, because there is no more funding that is getting to these programs, that's why there is a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of lack of information in public. Like if that funding was still there, this information about you equals you would be public and everybody would be aware of what is happening.
Exactly.
But
Now,
now
I've heard that there's a real rise in infections in women.
Yes. A lot of women now, especially the old age. I don't know why it is now coming back to old age, new infections among the old age. And most likely it goes back to lack of information. Probably they don't know how to prevent it. Probably they think it is gone. Probably they think it has come down. So that's why they take it lightly. So I would really think that we still need to work to boost the information sharing, close the gaps that are there that are preventing people from accessing the information.
Yeah.
We do more outreaches so that people still know that this HIV needs to be taken care of. People need to take care of themselves. You can imagine someone comes from all the way from Africa, comes to, let's say, Canada or any other country. You meet someone who doesn't know anything about you. I'm just giving an example because those are the experiences I'm getting from the intakes that I take.
Yeah.
When someone tells you, I slept with the person whom I didn't know the status and we didn't test and that's it. So what would you expect the two adults who are meeting from two different countries who have never known each other before? And even if you know each other before, if you have not been sexual together, you before anything else in anyone's life, in this life where you know that there is HIV since 1980s,
Yeah.
there's no way you can tell me you can go with someone for the first time you have met and you don't talk about HIV testing.
Yeah, you've got to. I know when my husband and I met, we were tested.
Yes.
It's, you know,
That should be the very first priority for whatever relationship
yeah.
you're going to have, if it is going to
Mhm.
lead to sexual relationship.
Yeah, it's an important thing to do to make sure that uh, you're good, because you don't know. You could have it for years without symptoms.
Yes. So I would encourage many people to stop exposing themselves, to stop risking themselves to, because as long as you meet someone and you go without any kind of testing, you're exposing yourself to HIV, because both of you don't know who has it, who does not. So the
Exactly.
best way is to find out through testing, and then once you know yourselves, you decide on what decisions to make after. Let's say if one is positive, you decide to move on and you take precautions. If both of you are positive, also take the precautions that you're given. Or you, of course, where you will test from, they will give you the information. That is my assumption.
So the
Yeah.
key is to get tested.
Sorry.
People should get tested if they're
Yes.
starting a new relationship. For sure, get tested.
Do not test using your eyes. Your eyes are going to lie you. I look beautiful. When you meet anywhere, you will never know that I'm positive, but I am. So if you test me using your eyes, you're going to. The only chance is that I'm no longer infectious. That is the only chance one might get.
So
But
you
in
got to
the
go to
case
the
where
doctor and go to the doctor and get a blood test. Don't just look at somebody and smile nicely and go, "Okay, I'm
yeah,
good." You're funny.
yeah. People need to get tested. People need to value their lives. People need to not waste their, like, some people have taken it for granted, thinking HIV is no longer a big problem. But like I said, the moment you start taking that medicine and you know it is for every day and you've not been on any medication, it is going to be tough for you.
Yeah.
Most people actually fear medication, especially us from Africa, where everything is natural. We take natural herbs, most of the sicknesses are treated using herbs. So when you begin taking medicine every day, it becomes very challenging.
Yeah, it would. You don't think about that. Like, we don't think about that here because everybody's taking some kind of medication.
Yeah,
That's how we
yeah,
get through
that's
the
true.
day. We're all
That's
drugged up with
true.
something. But I think it's important to consider. I think part of what I appreciate as I meet people from other countries is that every country has its own way of doing things. Everybody thinks along a certain way, and if we can have conversations and come to understand the differences in how we were raised, I think we can also eliminate some of our other challenges as we move forward, trying to communicate who we are, where we're from, what we do, how we do it. And I think that can make a big difference. So it comes down to communication and knowledge when it comes to HIV.
Yeah, that's true.
We need to do better. So we're working on that. That's why I wanted to continue this conversation, because we just kind of got started on it last week. And now, were you born with HIV or you contracted it later? I think you told me the story.
I was raped at the age of 15 when I was running away from domestic violence from home. And that's how actually domestic violence can lead to HIV. people think domestic violence is just domestic violence. You hit up the woman because you have issues at home and you hit your wife. The wife runs away, but where the wife has run to, you don't know what that woman is going to meet there. You don't know which hands she's going to fall in. Both anyway, because I was told that here domestic violence is actually more to men than the women. So it is like vice versa. But whichever gender,
No, that's not true.
that's what I was told. Yeah, but whichever gender, domestic violence is, I can
Violence
never
is,
support domestic violence because there's nothing good that comes from domestic violence.
no, and it's in my mind, if a woman is being beaten by her husband and she has children, that's child abuse, because the children, even if they don't see it, they hear it. They
And
know what's going on. They're not stupid, and
they are
really
emotionally
yeah.
affected.
Oh, absolutely, big time. And domestic violence here is there's a lot of women's shelters, let's just put it that way. And there's a reason for that, so that they can escape with their children if necessary. So I think, when it comes to, but you're right, when it comes to violence, a person will run away from one thing and may run into something equally or even more damaging than where they were.
Yes, that's the truth. So that's why we need to protect each other, not necessarily women alone, but we need to protect each other. If you've decided to give birth to children, protect the children. If you decided to get married, protect each other in your relationship. Be on the guard for each other. That is the only way we can be developmental, we can be productive. Because if that never happened, probably I would never have got this.
Yeah.
Because if I had remained home and doing whatever I was doing, where would it have come from? But because I was trying to run away from what I was going through, and because I didn't have like someone close who would try to be like my parent and protect me, provide what was required, that's probably why I ended up in this situation.
Yeah. But, ultimately, like, I sort of look at the way things happen in the universe, and sometimes there's no mistakes. I look at the work you're doing now, the information that you're sharing, your willingness to talk openly about this issue that's still so predominant. I think you're a valuable asset. So, I'm sad you have HIV, but at the same time, what you're doing is making a difference by sharing information and talking about it openly and being an advocate for people who are living with the struggles that come with HIV. And there are plenty of those beyond the medication. When we look at people can be a little judgmental, a little harsh.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's what I was talking to someone who had just tested, and I was telling her that probably God wanted. I have a feeling that everybody that is HIV positive God has a reason why they are positive, and not only positive, there are other issues that are in people's lives. So there are those every life that you have, every life that you have, it was destined like that, and there is a reason why you were in that kind of situation. So probably you're there to help another person see that if this happens, this is the result.
Well, I think, we can take any difficult situation and turn it around into something more positive. And we're at the end of our time again. How quickly that went by. Well, I'm really glad you were here, Jackie. The information you shared was really valuable. I really believe that, education is how we make a difference when it comes to something like this. And what I know is that every single person is unique and special. Every single person brings a gift to the rest of us, whatever that might look like. So supporting one another is the way forward. Anyway, I love you, my friend. Have a wonderful week, and we'll talk soon. Bye, everyone. You're watching The Joy Show, and we're back again next week at 3 p.m. on Friday Eastern Time. Take good care of yourself. Bye for now.
Bye.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.